for Kenyans. Before we bring you the top stories, this is our big question discussion tonight. The government has subsidized the prices of unga, a packet of maize flour going for 90 shillings per 2-kilogram bag. We are asking you on our big question, are you satisfied with the measures taken by the government to reduce the price of unga? Tell us what you think. Text your yes or no opinion plus a brief comment to our studio line. The number, as always, 22155. You can join this conversation as well on Twitter, online at Ben_Kitili, at KTN News, at KTN Kenya. The hashtag to use in this discussion is KTN Prime. KTN Prime begins right now. The top stories tonight.
Consequently, the 2-kilogram packet of maize flour will retail at Kenya shillings 90.
The government announces the return of maize flour to the shelves at a subsidized price of 90 shillings per 2-kilogram packet.
The politicians and other members of the public to let the judiciary do its work.
Politicians lock horns with the judiciary over the case on the announcement of presidential election results. Plus, if Sonko becomes the governor of Nairobi, then Vivo MD Polycarp Igathe will be his deputy.
We are collecting samples for DNA, after which we'll be able to know which sample belongs to at least to the relatives.
And relatives of victims of the Gilgil accident await DNA results in 2 weeks before they can bury their loved ones. Welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter is Meresha Owiti. Kenyans can now breathe a sigh of relief from the high cost of maize flour. A 2-kilogram packet of maize flour will now retail at 90 shillings, while a 1-kilogram packet will go for 47 Kenya shillings. The government announced the reduction effective tomorrow after a subsidy deal with millers. KTN News reporter Rita Tina begins our broadcast tonight.
For one of the country's most common staple foods, ugali, the high price of maize flour has meant that very basic meal was beyond the budget for many. Now the government has stepped in to try and relieve the situation.
The government of Kenya engaged all stakeholders, including importers, millers, and other private sector players, to manage this situation. As a result of these consultations, on the 13th April 2017, the government zero-rated maize flour and bread.
A 2-kilogram packet of maize flour will now sell at 90 shillings, down from 150 shillings, while a 1-kilogram packet that used to retail at 75 shillings will go for 47 shillings effective Wednesday. Brands such as Jamii, Jogo, Soko, Kifaru, Ndovu, Pembe, Dollar, and Unga will sell at the new prices, which follow a subsidy deal between the government and 20 millers.
To address the acute shortage of the high prices of other essential food items, the government has subsequently waived the duty on importation of sugar and milk border. These interventions will cumulatively reduce the prices of these basic food commodities.
The government says it has set aside 6 billion shillings in its maize subsidy program that will see millers buy maize at 2,300 shillings per 90-kilogram bag.
This temporary intervention will continue until our production stabilizes and stock normalizes.
The subsidized prices follow the controversial importation of maize from Mexico. The maize, the government says, is enough to last till the end of the month.
A similar intervention has also been taken on milk and sugar by way of removing the duty.
With shops and supermarkets already selling maize flour from previous stocks, effecting the new prices overnight may not be as easy as announcing the new costs, and monitoring the implementation of the new price directive may be needed as consumers continue to feel the burden of the high cost of other basic commodities. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
This story has been the basis of much debate across the country for the last few days. And we are asking, a big question discussion again. Are you satisfied with the measures taken by the government to reduce the price of unga? Keep texting and tweeting. The studio text line is 22155. You can tweet me at Ben_Kitili, at KTN News, at KTN Kenya. You can use the hashtag KTN Prime. We shall be sampling some of your tweets and texts during this live broadcast. Chief Justice David Maraga is warning politicians against instigating further attacks on the judiciary of an appeal lodged by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission on the finality of presidential results being announced at the constituency level. But as our political affairs reporter Moremi Mwangi now tells us, Maraga's warning fell on deaf ears.
I, the Honorable Lady Justice Philomena Mbetemwilo.
On the eve of the swearing-in ceremony of Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu as a member of the Judicial Service Commission, Judiciary boss David Maraga had a warning to politicians.
As Chief Justice, I'm not going to respond every time to statements made by anybody in the public, especially as we go to the campaign period.
Maraga's statement coming in the wake of threats by the Kenyan opposition to boycott the August elections, should the Court of Appeal rule in the favor of Kenyan Electoral Agency, IEBC, in a pending court case. In the appeal, IEBC wants to be allowed to announce all presidential results at the National Tallying Center. This after the 7th April High Court ruling directing that results announced by the 290 constituency returning officers are final and not subject to any verification or alteration at the national level.
The judiciary is not going to decide any case on the basis of what anybody will say. The judiciary, the judges and the magistrates understand their role. They will decide cases on the facts and the law.
But the warning from the Chief Justice appears to have fallen on deaf ears as opposition leader Raila Odinga sustained his threat to boycott the elections. A statement that seemingly rattled the ruling Jubilee Coalition headquarters.
At one moment, they're talking about 10 million strong voters, and in the next minute, they're talking about boycotting the elections, which means accepting defeat in some way. They better make up their mind exactly what is the truth.
IEBC is now getting involved in an exercise in futility and causing confusion. That's all that we are trying to say. So we're not in any way trying to contradict ourselves or to undermine the independence of the judiciary.
The IEBC appeal is slated for hearing on the 6th and the 7th of June, which will be exactly 63 days to the elections. On Monday, IEBC had challenged anyone opposed to the appeal to seek to be enjoined in the suit or to await conclusion of the matter and thereafter seek judicial redress. Observers argue there is a high possibility of the polls culminating in a presidential petition at the Supreme Court, and the ongoing friction between the judiciary and the political class could escalate political tensions. Moremi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
Let's stay with politics, shall we? Nairobi Senator Mike Sonko has picked Vivo Managing Director Polycarp Igathe as his running mate in the Nairobi gubernatorial race. The information was revealed after Sonko and Igathe held a meeting with Vivo Energy staff members where Igathe announced his move to join politics. And as Chris Thairo now reports, Sonko has been seeking a technocrat to deputize him.
After weeks of speculation on who will be his running mate in the race for the Nairobi gubernatorial seat, the Nairobi County Senator Michael Mbuvi Sonko has finally settled on Vivo Managing Director Polycarp Igathe. The announcement was made Monday morning after Sonko and Igathe held a meeting with Vivo Energy staff where he announced that he was joining politics. Igathe beat 8 other people who were potentials for that position. They include former Starehe MP Margaret Wanjiru, who came a distant third after Peter Kenneth during the Jubilee nominations, Dagoretti South MP Dennis Waweru, who lost to John Kiarie, Millicent Omanga, who lost to Nairobi Women Representative Rachel Shebesh, businessman Jim Nambaru, former Nairobi Town Clerk John Gakuo, former presidential candidate James Kiapi, and Janet Ouko. Igathe has served as the Kenya Association of Manufacturers Chairman, the Managing and Executive Director of Hako Industries Kenya, and the Director of Mercantile Insurance Company. Sources within Sonko's inner circle indicate that he finally settled on Igathe due to his past experience, especially in financial matters. He has not been in the political limelight and that he will be dealing with managerial matters while Sonko deals with the politics of the day. In February this year, Igathe was involved in a confrontation during which nominated Senator Paul Njoroge shot in the air to stop workers from closing down a Shell petrol station he operated along the Nairobi-Nakuru highway.
You see that age there? Yes, they needs to be brought to the same level.
Sonko will face the ODM candidate and incumbent Governor Dr. Evans Kidero and former Raila Odinga's aide Miguna Miguna in the battle for Nairobi. Chris Dero, KTN News.
Away from the battle for Nairobi, all roads lead to Kisii County tomorrow as NASA leaders embark on their second major rally since the coalition's formation. Members of the National Super Alliance's Pentagon will seek to entice the more than 500,000 voters in that county to support their presidential bid this year, even as NASA flag bearer Raila Odinga welcomed back Kisii Deputy Governor Joash Mangi to ODM after the politician returned to the party.
They stood just meters apart. Two individuals who weeks ago had been bitter rivals, now brought together by the ODM party leader,
Mr. Mangi,
who hopes to engage in a major charm offensive in Kisii County Wednesday. Kisii Deputy Governor Joash Mangi, who had ditched the party in September to join Jubilee,
kuwa ameteuliwa na ODM, leo anaungana na chama ya Jubilee,
would have to eat humble pie after he was prevailed upon to step aside for Kisii Senator Chris Obure. Mangi now returning to ODM, the party that had sponsored him as Deputy Governor of Kisii in 2013.
As we speak today, the people of Kisii County, their mood, their feeling, their wishes are in NASA. And it will be wrong for me as a leader to leave my people alone and go elsewhere.
he was forced to make some statements that he's now fully back into ODM, therefore NASA, and that he's going to be a candidate for the position of deputy governorship in Kisii County.
Deputy Joash Maangi, we've been together for more than 4.5 years now. We've worked together well. He's back with me. He never went away.
His return coming just a day to NASA's second major rally in the country, hoping to persuade 544,000 voters in the county that NASA remains the best bet to unseat Uhuru Kenyatta from power come August the 8th. Intrigue surrounding the county that has in the past been affiliated more towards the opposition coalition reached fever pitch after Jubilee claimed that it had been making inroads in Nyanza region, mainly from the county.
Nyinyi wote mnawaambia tuko aje? Ati tuko namna gani? Watu wa Nyanza tuko namna gani?
But indeed, some of the ODM legislators in Kisii who had left the fold to join Jubilee would make a retreat back to the Orange Party, like Kitutu Church's South Member of Parliament Richard Onyonka did in March this year, even though he would later move to Ford, Kenya.
We have realized that we would rather stay in ODM and work with the party. I would like to officially, as my person and as the chairman of Kitutu Church South constituency, to apologize to the party leader and to all of you.
The political tug of war for votes in the county, involving the two main political outfits in the country, have seen major realignments, pitting former foes, now turned friends, gunning for dominance just 3 months to the major dance, with each side hoping that Kisii County will dance to their political tune. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Political pundits call it the season for political musical chairs. Away from politics, the county government of Mombasa has formulated a strategic plan to counter terrorism at the Kenyan coast. The 5-year plan will incorporate the support of the national government as well as the civil society.
In 2014, these were the scenes that characterized the beautiful city of Mombasa, the coast region at large. With the Al-Shabaab taking advantage of the situation by attacking Kenya from Peketoni in Lamu County and Mombasa, several Kenyans lost their lives. Someone from the mosque was calling for revenge. Mombasa was tense. All these apparently to avenge the death of Sheikh Abubakar Sharif and Elias Makaburi. But 3 years down the line, progress has been made, and leaders across the divide have now recharged their efforts by launching the Mombasa Action Plan that will run for 5 years, countering violent extremism and radicalization.
Sera hii itaongozwa na gavana wa Mombasa na vile county commissioner wa Mombasa. Kwa hivyo tuna matumaini na tuna furaha leo kwamba tumeizindua, lakini tunajua kazi ya kutekeleza inaanza sasa.
When you stand as a house united, you don't have to unite on everything. Si lazima mkubali kila kitu together. Hakuna familia hata moja, kila kitu ndio wanakubali everything together. Lakini every strong family knows that at the end, kama kwa nyumba yenu na mnaadui nje, that you do not disagree that there's an enemy outside trying to come into your house.
With many youths then choosing to fight with the police, the 11th pillar will target the society and the community in transforming Mombasa in terms of security and socio-economic aspects.
Ukikosa, mama ya jirani anakuchapa kwanza, and then they send you to your mother, who doubles punishes you, even before they ask, what happened? So when did we lose it? Every parent nowadays is always up in arms to want to protect their children. And in the process, we have lost it. But it's my humble opinion that we really haven't lost. We haven't lost it as much. We have a positive story to tell.
This document will guide us for the next 5 years. And so that is the roadmap that we are going to follow for the next 5 years. The second best practice that we have embraced in Mombasa is the interreligious dialogue.
Mombasa has been on the spot over security breaches, and bombs capable of mass destructions were intercepted and destroyed, and gunmen raiding churches at Likoni area and sprayed with bullets, something that the Mombasa governor remembers only too well.
I made a decision that it is not and it cannot be Islamic to keep quiet and not even say anything when lives have been lost. And then I remember the reaction to one of the raids in the Musa Mosque led to destruction of a neighboring church. That is the time I made a choice and I went to the church and announced that we will rebuild the church.
The stakeholders now seek to work closely with the youth groups, NGOs, Muslims, Christians, Hindus and traditionalists, together with women groups in achieving the objectives of the 5-year plan. Francis Mtalaki, KTN News, Mombasa.
Francis Mtalaki for us tonight. Many thanks for staying with us here on KTN Prime. On our top story tonight, the government has announced a reduction in the price of maize flour, now set to retail at 90 shillings per 2 kilogram packet, 1 kg, going for 47 bob. We're asking you on our big question discussion, are you satisfied with the measures taken by the government to reduce the price of unga? Very quickly, Stio Mboga says, no, I'm not satisfied because it looks like a political gambling to say vote not Wanjiku. And Walter says on Twitter, we are not living on unga consumption alone. What about other commodities? Keep your text and tweets coming. We're taking a quick commercial break here on the broadcast. Don't go too far. We are back shortly with more news for you.